This is problem 8-127 from section 8.3.1. This problem is a checkpoint for solving and graphing inequalities. Okay? I can guarantee you, or highly guarantee you, that this problem or something like this would be on your chapter 8 test, and it's definitely going to be on the final exam because this is the topic that we want to make sure you know how to do. So graph the inequality in part A and the system of inequalities in part B. The answers to these are in the book, and they're also should be online if you check the homework link, but here's how to work them out. So for part A, I have the absolute value of an inequality. So I'm going to just forget that it was an inequality. Let's deal with the absolute value part first. Okay, so it was x plus 1 equals 3. I'm going to find my boundary points. When I have absolute value, the stuff inside here could be worth 3, or it could be worth -3. Absolute value means how many spaces from 0 is it. So I'm going to write my equation x plus 1. That stuff could equal 3, or this same stuff could equal -3. And I'm going to solve that. Right? So I'm going to get x equals 2, x equals -4. Now these are my boundary points. So I'm going to make a number line. I have my points on there, -4, +2. First thing is going back to the original question based on the symbol. Can I include those points? If I plug in -4 and I plug in +2 into the original question, do they give me true statements? Yes, they do. So I'm going to fill those in. Okay, close circles. Next, I need to plug in a number. I would suggest plugging in 0 to the original problem. So is the absolute value of 0 plus 1 greater than or equal to 3? Which it comes down to just be absolute value of 1, which is just a 1. Is 1 greater than 3? No. So I do not shade where 0 would be, so I shade out here. And now I need to write a statement to describe this, because it's not x equals -4 and x equals 2. It's x could be less than or equal to -4. Right, that takes care of this part. And over here it says x is greater than or equal to 2. That's this part. And the word we would use to describe them is or, because I can't be in two places at once, right? Two different places at once. Or some people thought about it as a boat. Okay, the oars go on the outside. If that works for you, go for it. But they can't be in two places at once, so the word we would describe that as or. Part B, we have a system of equations. Okay? So I'll copy them down here. It'll be a little easier than doing that. So -2. Just copying the problems down. Alright, so now we have those. Let me make a little graph kind of right here. Alright, so I'm going to start with my one that looks like a line, or start with the top one. My starting value will be at +3. We'll say that's going to be a 3. And my slope is down to the right one. Down to the right one. Down to the right one. If you had a nice set of graph paper, maybe this would be awesome. Okay, so next thing is, am I going to connect the dots with a solid line or a dashed line? Because I include the inequality here, because it includes the equal part, right? That's going to be, I can, yes, connect the points. Ooh, let me actually use a line. And we'll have it go in both directions. We are going to be fancy. So we're going to connect those points as best we can with a line. The next part with this problem is to decide where I shade. Right? And what we did is we plugged in a value to test where I shade. So is 0 less than or equal to -2 times 0 plus 3? This is going to go away. Is 0 less than or equal to 3? Yes. So I wonder if it's going to be, I'm not sure if it would be better to use highlighter. Let's try it. So I'm going to highlight where 0, 0 would be. So that's all this side right here. Alright, next line, moving on. We did the first one. Next one is y equals, or basically y equals x, kind of to graph it, to get my points. So I'm going to have a point here, there, up 1 over 1 is your slope, right? Rise over run is worth 1. And we get the idea. Now, am I going to connect those with a solid or dashed line? Again, I'm going to connect them with a solid line because it is including. It has an equal sign under the absolute value, or under the inequality, sorry. So we have this line, pretty good, it's a solid line. Okay. Next we need to decide is, do I shade above it or below it? Now I cannot use the point 0, 0 to test because our graph goes through 0, 0. So if I plug it in, is it true, yes or no? That doesn't tell me which side to shade. It's on the line itself. It needs to be a point not on the line. So if I pick the point -1, +1, that means x is -1 and y is +1. Is 1 greater than or equal to -1? Yes. So let me use the highlighter. We're going to use some green now, and I'm going to shade where this point was, right there. So I'm going to shade all this stuff. So far our solution is where the yellow and the green cross. Okay. Last line we have to deal with is x is greater than or equal to -1. Now this is x, so that is x is always going to be here at -1, or it's going to be greater than that. Okay, so that's actually going to be a line in the vertical direction. Vertical direction when x equals -1. I'll have to move that over a little bit. Let's pick up that line. There we go. Okay, so we're pretending that's at -1. And again, now I can plug in a point. I can use 0, 0 if I want for this time, except there's only one point to plug in. Is 0 greater than or equal to -1? Yeah, so I'm going to shade the side where 0 would be. Let's use our purple. Ooh, that is interesting colors. So what we want to have happen is these colors didn't mix so great. That's kind of confusing. I'm sorry. Let me get to a regular pen and kind of show where our stuff overlaps. Everything overlaps right in this spot. Let me use, we're going to use a creative pen. So all the stars, yeah, there we go. That is where my solution is going to be. Right, remember, it should be where all three overlap. So it's kind of a little triangle spot. Okay, so knowing how to graph inequalities and solve inequalities is a very important skill that we expect you to know how to do. If you're still having trouble, I believe there's extra problems either in the back of the book where you'd find the answer to this checkpoint, or you can ask your teacher for more problems if you need practice.